Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimama and this is Today in History for the 2nd of August. So, the year is 1924 and we roll back the blinds to have a sneak peek into what happened today. James Baldwin. He is a writer, or was a writer, because he's no longer with us. He was born on this day in 1924. He was an American novelist, playwright, essayist, poet, and activist. His essays, as collected in Notes of a Native Son, explore intricacies of racial, sexual, and class distinctions in Western society, most notably in regard to the mid-20th century United States. Some of Baldwin's essays are book length, including The Fire Next Time, No Name in the Street, and The Devil Finds Work. An unfinished manuscript, Remember This House, was expanded and adapted for cinema as the Academy Award-nominated documentary film, I Am Not Your Negro. One of his novels, If Beale Street Could Talk, was adapted, into an Academy Award-winning dramatic film of the same name in 2018, directed and produced by Barry Jenkins. So that's James Baldwin. And I'll end this section about him with the quote that is right there on your screen. He says, "I love America more than any other country in the world. And exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her." Very eloquently put. I mean, same way that you would criticize your kids so that they improve. So you had a kid who had temper tantrums. You sit that kid down and say, "Oh, what are you doing? That's not good. That's not cool. What's the problem?" So those who are closest to you, you tend to criticize the most. Makes a lot of sense. So that's a man who loved America in spite of her issues, especially with racism, which I'm sure he would have experienced. In spite of that, he still loved his country. That's a lesson for, African Americans, It's difficult, easier said than done. But, when you're born in a place, you tend to, this might get a lot of angry messages, but I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. You tend to have a connection with that land that you're born in. Some African Americans would beg to differ. They say that when they go to Africa to visit, they feel a stronger connection to the land because this was the land of their ancestors. Some go to Ghana to the fortress, Elmina Castle, which was the last place where a lot of slaves that were transported to the West Indies and to the Americas would have said their final goodbyes. They would have even said their final goodbyes there. They would have. Did they even have the time to say their final goodbyes? That's another thing. And then pictures of Steve Harvey crying when he visited this Elmina Castle, thinking about what his ancestors went through. So I would not be able to empathize fully with African Americans, but there are those who feel that America is home and those who do not. So people are different, so we just have to allow people to do what suits them, as long as they're not breaking the law and they're not killing anyone, they're not making anyone uncomfortable, at least physically, you do what you got to do. So that's James Baldwin, who was born on this day in 1924. I agree with the sentiment, by the way, sentiment that it's written there over his head. 1943, on this day, Japanese forces attack PT boat with this guy on board. Who was this guy? He was to become president of the United States. So Kennedy. future President John F. Kennedy, serving as commander of a torpedo boat in the Solomon Islands. That's when his ship or boat is fired upon by the Japanese Navy. Well, he survived, lived to tell the tale, and became a hero. Well, these are him, with his colleagues, comrades, and that's the boat that was fired upon. Guess that is a replica of the boat. Okay, on this day as well, 1990, Iraq invades Kuwait, as you can see from this picture here. So the mighty Iraq, invades tiny Kuwait. It's incredible. I remember this day clearly. I remember this and how we were panicking, thinking that this was the beginning of the Third World War. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So this occurred at about 2 a.m. local time, and I guess Iraq did this for the oil that Kuwait had. They have their own oil. I don't know why a country as massive as Iraq would want Kuwait's oil as well. Perhaps the oil that Kuwait has is disproportionately larger than Iraq's oil. I guess so. Perhaps Iraq as well is pretty much landlocked. I think this is a sea, some sort of water body there. So, and that's the access they have to the sea. So that might have been part of the issue that led to this invasion. But thankfully, they didn't succeed. So more pictures of that day, that fateful day of the 2nd of August, 1990. Okay, last but not least, this lady called Jackie Joyner-Kersee. She wins gold in the heptathlon again, and the year was 1992. She becomes the first woman ever to win 2 consecutive Olympic gold medals in the heptathlon. She was born and raised in East St. Louis. Jackie Joyner overcame poverty and chronic asthma to win a scholarship to UCLA. Wow. UCLA being the University of California, Los Angeles. So, there's hardly anything that we cannot overcome if we put our minds to it and work hard. Jackie Joyner-Kersee is a very good example of that. Overcoming adversity and becoming the first woman ever to win 2 consecutive Olympic gold medals in the heptathlon. Awesome. Awesome. On that note, we wrap it up for Today in History. Join me tomorrow, the 3rd of August, for another edition. My name again is Sotonye Afiesimama, and do not forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and also consider subscribing so that you receive updates of my video uploads. Thanks again, guys, and I shall see you tomorrow for Today in History. Bye-bye.